Skip-to content members of the San Diego State Students section can dust off their bike helmets and dig their short-sleeved white dress shirts out of the closet. BYU is coming to town. The schools jointly announced a two-year non-conference series in men's basketball on Tuesday, beginning December 22 at the Edges Arena later this year and concluding November 9, 2019 at BYU's Marriott Center. It is the first time they have played on either campus since the Cougars left the Mountain West following three epic Jimmer Fredette vs. Kawhi Leonard battles during the 2010-11, when both teams were ranked in the top 10. The only meeting since came in 2014, in the opening round of the Maui Invitational at 2,400-seat Lahaina Civic Center. Befitting of the rivalry's penchant for dramatics, SDSU won 92-87 in double overtime after walk-on guard Akil Quinn had a corner three-pointer blocked late in the first OT, got the ball back and fired again to force another extra period. "We always felt it was such a great rivalry, going back to the Jimmer and Kawhi days," Aztecs coach Brian Dutcher said. "It's a game that both fan bases love. For a lot of years, it was for dominance in the Mountain West. They left the league and went other places, but I don't think the emotions of that series are over yet. It will be great for both fan bases to have a non-conference game that brings back that emotion. Both fan bases will be ignited, or engulfed in flame." SDSU and BYU have played 72 times in men's basketball, most between 1979 and 2011 when both were members of the WAC and then Mountain West. For the Aztecs, who don't have a natural rival, the Cougars increasingly fill that void, both for competitive and cultural reasons. The private, Mormon school with the pristine campus at the base of the mountains versus the gigantic public institution near the coast. The relatively tepid rivalry grew fangs in 2010, during a 71-69 BYU win at the Edges Arena behind 33 points from mononucleosis-stricken guard Fredette. Students wore bike helmets and short-sleeved white shirts to poke fun at Mormon missionaries, and one held a sign asking, "Jimmer, which wife gave you mono?" They also chanted at the contingent of Cougars fans, "You're a still Mormon, you're a still Mormon." That elicited letters of apology from SDSU administrators to their BYU counterparts, including one from former Associate Athletic Director Don Oberhelman that said, "I'm sure you understand the students' rights of free speech and freedom of expression. 98% of what they do at our games makes for a fantastic basketball atmosphere. The 2% like this makes me cringe." The following year, then-coach Steve Fisher emailed students before the game urging them to not cross the line into topics that are out of bounds and distasteful, particularly making fun of one's religion. That was basketball. The rivalry took on a new dimension in football in 2010 when BYU won 24-21 in Provo after a video replay review on a key fourth-quarter drive allowed the Cougars to maintain possession, despite clear evidence of a fumble. When it emerged that two of the three personnel in the replay booth were BYU alums and one was an athletic department employee, three influential SDSU boosters wrote BYU's president demanding an investigation and forfeiture of the game if improprieties were uncovered. It got worse a few days later, when Chris Ello, the color commentator for Aztecs football broadcasts, said on his radio talk show that BYU is nothing but a front for utter hypocrisy. And, "I hate BYU and I hate everything they stand for." Not wanting to share television revenues with an entire league, BYU signed an 8-year contract with ESPN to go independent in football beginning in 2011. The Mountain West booted the rest of its sports, which the Cougars relocated to the West Coast Conference. Outside of a softball tournament or the odd tennis match, the Aztecs and Cougars have rarely had premeditated encounters in any sport since. This, then, is the first major renewal of the rivalry. SDSU will host BYU in football in 2019, a few weeks after the basketball game in Provo. Dutcher and BYU coach Dave Rose have talked about it since the game in Maui. Both coaches had it in the back of their mind that it would be a great series, Dutcher said. "We were just waiting for the time to be right. We're good friends with their staff. Dave Rose has been there a long time. We're longtime friends. It's a rivalry, but it's a rivalry among friends. We're not recruiting in the same circles, so we're not battling each other on that front. It's just a great competitive rivalry on the floor." There's another reason. Power conferences are moving toward 20-game conference schedules and, with fewer open dates in November and December, moving away from playing mid-major programs on the road. That, in essence, compels the top mid-major programs to play each other more often, either by joining together in conferences like Gonzaga was considering with the Mountain West or in non-conference series. We need opportunities to play other Tier 1 teams, and I consider BYU a Tier 1 team, Dutcher said. I think we're the same. It's a chance to play a quality opponent home, and we don't have to go 3 time zones away to do it. The December 22nd date is during winter break, when the students are gone. That, Dutcher insisted, was not a conscious effort to mitigate potential crowd problems, but one of the only remaining open dates in their schedules. The Aztecs will play 11 or 12 non-conference games, and most of the dates are already filled. There are 3 games over Thanksgiving at the Maui Invitational, a home game against USD, a road game at Cal and a road game in the Mountain West Missouri Valley Challenge. With the addition of BYU in a likely early season game against a local non-Division I opponent, that leaves Dutcher with 3 or 4 more dates that, one wouldn't think, will be won off by games at the Edges Arena. And what of the future? Could the BYU series could become an annual fixture? There's always a chance, Dutcher said. We only signed a 2-year deal. We'll see how it goes and see what the fans think of it, and we'll revisit it after that second year.